And welcome to another edition of Ducks No Sports. As this week, talking about week 13 in the CFL. Yes, 13 weeks down and about 5 more to go. Should be interesting as a lot of good matchups this week, and it should be a last good half of the season, I think, as a lot of teams still in playoff contention. But we'll start with our first matchup of the week as the Hamilton Tiger-Cats travel to the Peg to take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Start with Hamilton. Last week's showing was very impressive. I mean, they took a struggling Eskimos team and just put their foot on their throat and really made it tough on them, beating them like 51 to, I think, 9, something like that. You know, very, very impressive. Henry Burris looked good last week, finding all his targets. Their defense played outstanding after the first quarter. Got off that rough start in the first quarter, but the defense played great after that. Still can't run the ball consistently enough for my liking, but the CFL not a huge concern. But I think on the stretch that will be a huge concern because they're going to be playing some tough teams down the stretch. And to go against Montreal or Toronto, you're going to have to keep their respected quarterbacks off the field. And they got to have a better running game. And it's pretty clear that Henry Burris is the catalyst to this team because when Henry Burris is rolled, the whole team seems to feed off it and be very good. And if Henry Burris isn't good, this team just isn't going to win games. But I don't think they have a problem this week because they're playing a Winnipeg Blue Bomber team who, let's face it, this season's over. Let's call it for what it is. Firing your coach about 3 weeks ago, and ever since then it just seems like it get worse and worse every week. The first week they lose by 52 points. The next week they could have won the game, but decided to punt it, decided to go for an easy field goal. And then last week, they're losing 45-3 most of the game. And then you have players just laughing on the sidelines. Very unacceptable stuff. Maybe your ass kicked, just laughing like these players. Pretty clear these players just don't care. They've checked out. And it's embarrassing. Most of these players shouldn't get their paychecks, but hey, this is how the world works. And I think this week they're in rough shape because I think Henry Burris can keep this train rolling. And I think the Hamilton Tiger-Cats beat down the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to make the season even worse for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Our next matchup pits the BC Lions, who are on a roll, traveling to Edmonton to take on the Eskimos, who are not on a roll. We'll start with BC here. What can you say more about BC? Travis is the best player in the league, but what I like about this team is their defense. I mean, they quietly might have the best defense in the league, maybe next to the Eskimos. They have a really strong defense, week after week. Not giving the opposing QB any room to breathe. Very good pass rush and a very underrated secondary that just picks the ball off and takes balls back to the house. Very, very well done. And I think BC will continue to roll because they're playing at an Edmonton team who, let's face facts, if all you can play is defense and can't score in this league, then you're not going to win games. And that's what Edmonton's been this year. Being there, they're all right by winning games, but now they're struggling a lot. Because their defense is great, no doubt. Probably them and BC, I think, have the two best defenses in the league. But it's pretty clear, they tried the QB switch to Kerry Giles to try to generate more offense. Didn't work, so they're going back to Giles this week. And he's finally back from injury, which is a good thing. And this is it's up to Giles. Because Giles played pretty good last year when he was with Toronto down the stretch. Created a lot of offense. Hasn't done that much so far. And really makes no sense because they have the offensive weapons. They have a great running tandem with Boyd and Messam and Charles. And you got some good receivers. And Fred Stamps, in my opinion, a top receiver in the CFL. And you have a few other guys that are pretty good too. And they just can't seem to get any offense going. And in this league, it's such an offense-driven league that if you can't score points, then you're not going to win games. And that's the problem with the Edmonton Eskimos right now. And I just think BC is just too big, too bad, too tough. And I really believe the BC Lions just roll Edmonton this week. And I don't think it's going to be close as I think BC beats down the Edmonton Eskimos. All right, our next matchup. The best two teams in the East lock up as the Toronto Argonauts travel to Montreal to take on the Alouettes. The Argonauts, the Argonauts don't seem to get enough respect, for my opinion, in this league. I really think Toronto has a good shot at the Grey Cup this year. Will they go to the Grey Cup? Who knows? Only time will tell. But I really like where this team's going. It's on defense. This team just flies. Gets after you. Doesn't give up any big plays. Love how this defense plays. And on offense, ever since Boyd left, they have had no headaches. They're running the ball consistently still. You know, in the passing game, Ricky Ray, well, let's about Ricky Ray, future Hall of Famer, great quarterback. And I really like this team because every week they just get a little and little better. You know, Argonauts are good. You know, they don't beat themselves. They don't take stupid penalties. They're very well coached, and I really like this Toronto Argonaut team. And they're going up against a team in Montreal who had a big loss this week as Whitner goes down for the year. They're running back, but he does a lot more than just run the ball. You know, he's very good in the backfield catching balls on those screen passes. And Calvillo's go-to check down guy. And I really think this will be a bigger loss than they're letting on, because I really think this is a huge loss for Montreal Alouettes. Can they rebound? Of course, the Montreal Alouettes are the best organization in the CFL over time. But same with the Alouettes, they're signing a few red flags on this team. I mean, they're not getting any younger, and they seem to have injuries across the board. I mean, Richardson isn't healthy, Whitner's gone for the year. You know, they have other injuries. On the defensive line, they have injuries. It just seems that there's just something isn't just right in Montreal right now. And that's why I think Toronto, who went toe-to-toe with the best team in the league last week, the BC Lions, and almost beat them. And I just think Toronto, who just doesn't beat themselves, will go into Montreal like they did earlier this year and beat the Alouettes, because I just think it's Toronto Argonauts' time. And I really believe the Toronto Argonauts are the best team in the East. And our last matchup of the week, as the red-hot Calgary St. Peters travel to Saskatchewan to take on the Melonheads and the Rough Riders. We'll start with Calgary. What can more say about the Stampeders right now? I'm becoming a big believer in this team, as just like the Argonauts over there. Every week just get a little better. And Kevin Glenn, I'm not the biggest Kevin Glenn fan in the world, but what more can you say about this guy? This guy's straight up getting it done. You know, getting key first down, moving the chains, handing the ball off to Cornish, his best weapon. And Cornish has just taken his game to a next level. And I really like how his team is playing. I really like how Cornish is playing. And on the other side of the ball, the defense is playing outstanding right now, picking balls off, getting to the quarterback, not giving up anything. And I really like this Calgary team. And they're playing a team in Saskatchewan who really needs this one. I mean, if they want to keep pace with the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Edmonton Eskimos for the last spot in the East playoff spot, I really believe they need this game because they're still alive in the crossover right now. But with Hamilton's schedule getting a little weaker and Edmonton's schedule getting a little weaker, you know, they really have to get this game at home. They used to be such a good home team. The last couple of years have not been that dominant home team, but I think this week they're going to be tough because I think the Calgary St. Peters are just so much better than them right now. I think Kevin Glenn's is better than them right now, and I just think the Calgary St. Peters beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders in Riderville this week. Well, that's it for this time, but make sure you come back next week because we'll be previewing Week 14, and it's only like a month away to the playoffs. Cannot wait. Should be a great playoffs as usual. But till next time, I'm Aaron Ducks saying I'm Ducks, and I know sports. Kind of.